So the first thing, again, I'm reminding you about the documentation page where you can find all the answers that you might be looking for. So you should go to the Flex.bi and go to the documentation section here in the right corner. And now we see the documentation divided on the topics that you might be interested in. So today we will go through this one, which is called Recreating Profit and Loss and Report in Flex.bi, and another one about external data and budget import. So if we look at this manual here, it's a full steps how to do that. What we will try to create at the end of this demo will be something, of course, not so perfect and not so shiny as this one. So it's profit and loss defined by the groups of accounts. Also maybe a little graph based on that. Maybe some account monitors and showing reports based on the objects. And the last section will be the external data import and budget control. So budget importing by the account, and budget importing and budget control. So in showing the control of matching the numbers or not matching them. Also, we will show how you can import some other topics of some other maybe properties or maybe some other data that refers to your object, or maybe your account, something you don't have in Hansaworld but you would like to add, like maybe a hotel manager or maybe a department email address or something you don't have in a system. Okay, so if we get back to the documentation, then we see that the first step is finding out what your Hansaworld profit and loss report contains. So it means that you have usually Hansaworld users define profit and loss report from the Hansaworld based on a Hansaworld report that they have created already before. It can be also done by as you, if you like it the other way, but usually for Hansaworld users it is defined from this report. So to find this definition, you should go to the report settings, which are located in a module nominal ledger. So it's report settings, and if we do that, then though we are already a nominal ledger, so we go to the settings and have a look where that report, how was it called, report settings are. When we choose the report settings window, now we can see that there are a list of the reports that can be defined in finance. When you click on them, then you can, by pressing definition, you see the contents of the report, that it is how it is defined. So basically what we can see here are 3 columns. This is a balance sheet. We will then, after, create the profit and loss very simplified version. So here in the balance sheet, but it's the same, like the process is the same no matter which report you're trying to create from the finance, yes? So there are 3 columns that are predefined here. So the first one is ID, then there's a comment and accounts. So ID is the ID of the group, of the account group that you are creating. Like this is like this part is, you can always find it under 8, yes. And then there is a comment, which is the name, that how the position is displayed in the report. So in this case, for fixed assets, it's number 10, and it's in interval of accounts. And here in accounts part, you see the formula of this account group. So there can be a couple of ways how it can be written here. So the first thing is that it can be a total of accounts. So for example, this one might be a total of, like, assuming accounts together. Also, there can be summing lines together. So it means there can be lines that are defined as the groups, like the summing up the different groups of accounts that you have already created before. So if we look at the more simple one, profit and loss example, which is defined here. So it's this is the one we will be creating today. To fit in a half an hour that we have. So here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions, and the formulas are like that. So the first one, sales, which will be the income, it's defined by accounts from the number 100 until 1999. The second one is the cost of sales, which will be from the expense accounts. So it's accounts from 200 to 299. And the line number 30 is a gross profit line, and this is already a total of the 2 lines before. Then the line number 40 is overheads, which is accounts, and net profit, which is a total of 2 lines also mentioned before. So we will just try to create the same thing in a Flex.bi and show how to use the basically one formula to create it in a Flex.bi. Yes, also if you have any questions during the process, or you have something that we maybe should add to the documentation, we are very welcome to write them down. Or if you have them after the session, you can also send them to the support to Flex.bi. So if we look at this selection here, and if we go back to the documentation, then as I mentioned before, there are account groups are in this column, which is called accounts. Yes, here's the same thing here. There is also a description, what I already mentioned before, that there can be sum of accounts and account groups, and also there can be intervals. Intervals of accounts, it means that it's from the one count until the another one. So it uses these 2 points, and then you put the beginning of the interval at the end of the interval. So if we try to recreate the same thing in a Flex.bi, so first thing is defining those interval accounts. Before to create any report from the zero, you need to find the financials data cube. So if it's a financials data that we are talking about, and if it's financial report that we want to create, we go to the Analyze tab and choose Financials. Yes, Financials, the data cube has dimensions of measures, VAT code, time, and accounts. On the measures, we see balance, debit, and credit. Here, VAT code can show you results only by any of the VAT codes that you have in a system. Accounts basically is any group of any account that you have in a Hansaworld will be shown here under the groups of the accounts. So under the account type groups. So if we look at the demo, we see that there are assets, liability, equality, income, and expense accounts, and the balance, debit, and credit. Those are the ones that we are getting from the system. Just so that you can put those dimensions straight into columns and rows, or maybe change them if you like them the opposite way. then if you have like more questions about the basic concepts and creating reports from the scratch, see our documentation about basic concepts and report creating manual, which are also connected to this one. So I will not be very detailed on the basics today. So when we have when we know that accounts are divided by account types, as we see here, and measures that we are getting from the system are balance, debit, and credit, then how we can create the profit and loss is we have to group accounts here in account dimension. So what we will do today, so the first thing what we will do, we will define what is profit here. So profit basically is a income account minus the expense account. So if they are divided by groups, so it means that we can take the income and take the expense away. So first thing that you have to do, and it's also written here, so you can come back to it also later, you have to select the members. Selecting members there are two ways to do that. The first one is to find it here in bookmarks part. So it's here, search and bookmark. So if we would look for income group, then we see it under here. When you choose the name, then the button shows up here that you can use later. The second way is also you can go on this income and press bookmark. Yes, I need another one, so it's expense. I will bookmark expenses. So it also appears here. The same thing. Why do I need to do that? Because I need to create a calculated member which defines my profit. I see that here in system in a demo somebody already has done that. So basically, it's income plus account plus expense. Why it's plus? Because the expense account will have the values with the minus sign. So you should have it here in a formula with the plus sign to have the correct amounts there. So it was created before, but for those who don't know how to create the calculated members, I will just remind quickly. So you create the define new calculated member, click on the bookmark members, so it's income plus the expense, because we have the expense already with the minus sign, and then you write the name of the measure that you want to call it. So, and now we press create, and it should be here. And then you can use it in any report and combine it in a different layout as you like it. So we have defined what is profit here. Also, what we to have the if we look at the structure of the report, what we will want to have at the end of this session will be the report where we have time, where we will have the profit and loss in a time periods. Yes. So what we will have is we have to how we can do that is we can take the measure of the balance, which is our that comes from the system, and then we can put this profit measure above it and the time in the rows. So so basically what we have here now is this will be our profit. Yes, so it calculates only the balance. It uses the balance measure, but it takes it only from those accounts and uses that calculation that we created here. As it's a little bit misleading, and we want it just to have the one line above which says that it's profits and loss, I will create also a measure I will create a new measure in in a profit in a measure dimension. So it's new calculated member, which will be called profit and loss, and which will be already here. So I need to create a measure that shows balance, but only from the profit account. Those profit accounts. So from the incomes plus expense. So what I will do, or how you can also use it, you can go to the calculated members formula, press the profit, so you will see the correct way to address this calculated member. And then when you go to the measures, you will press the balance, because we want the balance from the profit and loss account, and then you put it in a bracket like that. So this will show only balance from the profit and loss calculation. I will call it profit and loss. Okay, so now we have it here, and there is no need to have the accounts dimension here. And okay, just to short go back to the structure of the report that we wanted to create. If we look at the profit and loss, then here we have the groups of accounts, and here I think there are several years that we are comparing. So if today we'll try to group them as they are set up in a demo. So we will go back to our template account. I created the calculated members and quickly closed the window. So calculated members are not disappearing, so they are still here. So even if I don't save the report, calculated members are the ones who stay here. So to make it more simple, I will have I will take the balance, and then I will take the time under here, as it's in that profit loss report that we saw earlier, and then we will try to group the accounts now. As I said, they are already by the types. If we look at the account level, that there will be all accounts that we have here. You can use the hide empty if you like to add totals here. If we go back to the documentation, then selecting members is also something we will need to create the first thing of the profit and loss that we have in here. So the first group is the first line is the sales total, which is from account number 100 until the 199. It's an interval. So if we look at the documentation, the interval is something that you can create with the aggregate function. So what you have to do, you have to write the aggregate and then the account that you start with, and then account that you end with. So basically, you go to the account dimension. You find the account that you want to start with by writing it here and bookmarking it again. So I want to start with this one, and I want to end with this one. Okay, so next thing I do, I go to the define new here, and I need to put both of them here, and then there are several ways how you can create these lines to look them a bit different, and also they have a different function. If we would just write like that, maybe if we do the total, for example, of two accounts, then if we select it in the report, then it will not have the plus sign, so we could not drill into the contents of this sales position, and we would not know what is included in there. If we want to see what is in there, and it works also if you use the plus or if you use the intervals, then you can use the aggregate function, which is also, you can find it down here, or you can just write the aggregate as we saw it in example before, and then put the accounts that you want to aggregate, the one that you want to start with and the one that you want to end with. Okay, if we write it that way, it means that we will have all accounts that have the values under it. This aggregate can be used in any other cube, in any other dimensions. You can aggregate objects, you can aggregate any other filters, and then you can just have the plus sign and drill into the contents of them. So the same things I'm showing now on accounts will work on a sales and all the other dimensions in the other data cubes. So we have aggregated sales with the first simple method of selecting intervals, like it's in here in a Hansaworld profit and loss definition. The second line is cost of sales, which comes from the expense accounts. Yes, if we look at this construct of the name of this member, if we are addressing the sales account number 100, it shows that it's from the account dimension, it's from the income type group, and its account name like that. So now we will address the expense accounts, and it will show us the expense account names if we will look at the way. So it's 200 and 299. Again, we can select them here. And it's the same thing that we need to create the member that is from one to another. If we look at this formula, instead of aggregate, we could use also sum, which would give us also a result only by one total. It's basically the same as using the plus sign. You can also do any other mathematic things with the accounts, like minusing them or maybe multiplying by 2 or anything like that. If you have something that you need to, some changes that you need to apply that to the raw data that comes from the Hansaworld. So in this case, I need to have the cost of sales. And that's how I call it. And also I will need to add those brackets here that defines that this is my selection of the members of this formula. So cost of sales is the second position here. Usually you keep them not expanded, and then if you're looking for some particular answer, then you can when you are analyzing, you can drill in and see more detailed look there. Okay, so as we created here profit and loss measure, then we could also use it up here, not have the balance. So this would make it a profit and loss of those accounts. Okay. Then the next thing that we have here is the total of the lines, which is called gross profit, where we take this from the sales, we take this cost of the sales off. In the Flex.bi, it's done very similar way. So you just take already ready ready measures that you created, you take the sales. You can always find the buttons down here on the right side, and minus of the cost of sales. And it was called gross profit here. We see that it was a minus sign, so again you should remember, as I didn't know, that I should use the plus sign instead of the minus sign to get the correct result. I did it the simple way, just to have the result with no option to expand it, because that's already the total of the two lines I had before, and there's no need for me to have it more to have it more detailed. So I have the different periods of the time here. I will analyze today only year 2012, and would like to see it by quarters. So that's the numbers we are looking at today. What we could do also, we could add the totals of the lines or the columns, as long as they would make sense. If, for example, if we would had maybe some only selected 2 quarters or maybe a couple of months, and we would like to make a total of them, and we could use the total like a custom summing up of the lines of the columns. Then if we look at the next line of which is called overheads, then we should also bookmark it here, and the same way we can find those accounts, which is wages and salaries, and it's 5989. It's a very long number. Well, no matter. It's a bit different data here. So, but anyway, the understanding like defining any of those positions, it is the same way. As I already mentioned, there are 2 ways, maybe like 3 ways of that formulas that you can have here. So it's the interval of the accounts, it's total of the lines, or it can be also total of accounts, and that's about it. And you can use several ways to defining it. First one is by aggregating the interval, which will have the option to expand. So if you use the aggregate, it will be expandable. So we write the first member and then the last member, and there is also option to have the only the total of the sum of two members. And as I already showed before, there you can also use simple way of a plus sign between them, and also the sum function. If you would, how to make the profit and loss report look nicer, the ways of doing it, you need to you can use self-formatting and mark those lines in the different colors. What you also can do is you can, if you want to create the empty line between them, you can maybe if you have the second section also, that you can create a member called with the null content, and or maybe it's just some maybe part 2 of the report that you want to have after this. Then it will just create an empty line. If you have yes, like for example like that. If you want to maybe add also some filters up here, that you also can do that. So the second topic then I would like to maybe pay more attention is that is not in a Hansaworld reporting that you define here, but is possible in Flex.bi, that you can report, that you can create those account groups by the also limiting them by object. So as you see here, then we have the object dimensions that are coming from your system. They are created during the import. So there are two ways to limit the report by the object. The first one is to put the object into pages. So if you create the overview of the profit and loss or maybe balance, and you have like maybe 4 hotels or 5 departments you are looking at, you don't need to create another report for another department. What you can do is just to switch those departments up here where the objects are, and now it's already a report about any of the departments that you might have. Yes. Also the total of them all, or if you need, you can select only 2 of them. Yes. So it's use the report, make it more flexible, work with the same report. Don't create very similar ones that basically are the same, and because you can always add those filters here and use them. And also you can combine them together with the other objects that you have. For example, 2 departments only by 1 person, or if you have any other object, so it's a project that you have there, or anything that you are analyzing your finance with, can be used combined here. So that is the first way how to limit the results by the object. But this filter up here will refer to all report. So if you are looking at the profit and loss, that it will show all the lines only for this object. Yes, it can be. For some customers, there are situations that you want to limit only 1 line by 1 object. For example, you want to divide it into 2 by 2 objects, some expenses or maybe some income that you have. You can also define it here and mark it here. The way of doing it is that you can include those objects already in the calculated member of the line where you are selecting those accounts that you will use. So how you do it, you select the object in an object dimension, the one you want to put the limitation on, and then you write it divide it with a comma and put it in the brackets. So let me show you a simple example. If we would want to create wages and salaries, if we would see separately only by department 1, first thing that we see here is wages and salaries are already here. If we go to the object department dimension, then if we want to include the object filter in the report only for 1 line, that it cannot be in the pages, so we have to remove it. Then we have to find the department here. So it's a 2nd department. So we want only the wages of the 2nd department. So easiest way of finding the way again to this measure, to this department too, is to just press on a button on here. Don't try to guess the addressing, because if you have the longer descriptions, and if you have they come all from Hansaworld, and you have the longer descriptions of your objects, they will all be included in the names. So just try to bookmark them and then refer to them in your calculated member where you're planning to use it. So what I did now, I selected department 2, and I will use it now by creating only the wages of department 2. I copied the location of not the location, but the addressing of this department. So this is the wages of department 2. Don't forget to put it in the brackets. Yes, currently there are no wages for department 2. But you understand the how it works. Here again, after the comma sign, you could put any other dimensions that you have in a cube. Like if in financials, there are not many of them, but you could limit it by another object, or maybe you could limit by the VAT code. So maybe only one VAT code you want to have those results for. So, or maybe just a one person object. That how you do it. You just you bookmark it. You go to the calculated members. You find the route to it, and then you put it here. So this will be only the wages of the department 2 by the Kate Stevens object. Okay, so those limitations can be set up for as detailed as you like them, and this is if you want to use some limitations for the line level. At the end of designing the report, what you should do is save it and put it on your dashboard. Sorry, a little bit of misspelling. So profit and loss is this one. If you want it in a different periods, or if you want it more detailed in a days or times, again, if we are having this table of profit and loss, as I showed you an example before, you can always create from it the maybe beautiful graph of profit and loss changes, or any other major changes. For example, if we would like to see how the sales would have been changing over the time, or maybe the cost of sales. So what we could do is we could go to the just one more thing. As I saved it under name profit and loss, and I want to create another report, I would use this button of new report and keep current selection to not lose a previous report. So I select only the cost of sales, and then I would like to see it by the year. Measure is the same one, and I want to see it by the year. Is located here under the hierarchies, and I have all the years here. So it's not very beautiful one, this one, but still the way of printing them is the same as for any other report. All you have to do is just to select what you want to see over the time, and then you can create any type of the chart from it. Okay. Yes, so it's about the profit and loss creating. I think that's about it. It's nothing really complicated there. Aggregate function is the only one you actually need to know and need to use. If there are more specific requests, and if there are more specific reports that you are trying to create, ask us a question, and we will try to help with the calculated members if there are some more limits you need to apply. Yes, also there is a little information mark if you need to create maybe some interval from the account number 100 until 199, but you don't want to include 177. That how you can do it, you just take it off with the minus sign again after the formula that you have created with the aggregation. Okay, my colleague Otto will continue with showing how to import the external data. So we will have some budgets for this data. I will maybe finish this beautiful graph with removing some periods that we do not need. And so currently it's not the profit and loss, and it's cost of sales. And here we have the report of the cost of sales in a time period. As we created the dashboards also for the managers, we will create a new one for the finance data. So it will be the profit and loss report and the report from the sales cost of sales in time period on the right side here. And we need to put also the name. And save it. And here are our two reports. And if we are doing the research, then we can drill into them. Or if you want to maybe have some other filters up here, you can put them on the top of this report.